Imagine being a child so young that your only concern should be laughter, play, and sleep. But instead, every night, you're paralyzed with fear, unable to escape the unseen presence lurking in the shadows. Some say children are more sensitive to the supernatural, that they can see what adults cannot. But what if a child is born into a place where the darkness is already waiting? This isn't just another ghost story. This is real. A tale of a haunted apartment, an attic locked away in mystery, and a terror that escalated until it could no longer be ignored. It all started in an old apartment in Nuremberg, Bavaria. An apartment where something, or someone, refused to rest. A dark history uncovered. My family moved into the apartment when I was between the ages of 1 and 3. I was the youngest, living with my parents and my middle sister, Sarah, who was 15 at the time. My oldest sister, Jessie, lived one floor below us with her daughter. It seemed like any other home, but there was something deeply unsettling about the place. Above us was an attic always locked. It had no light, no one ever went inside, and no one dared to. The neighbors, who we only spoke to much later, revealed something horrifying, something that sent chills down our spines. A woman had thrown herself from that attic, but not before abandoning her 3 children. And from the moment we moved in, strange things started happening. The noises from the attic. At first it was subtle. Every night, between 3 o'clock and 3:30 a.m., the witching hour, we would hear something. Heavy furniture scraping against the attic floor, as if being dragged by unseen hands. Thumps, whispers, and a presence we couldn't shake. It wasn't just us who heard it. The neighbors complained, wondering why we were moving furniture in the dead of night. But we weren't. No one was. Still, we tried to ignore it. But things only got worse. The glass moves by itself. Sarah and Jessie began experimenting with a Ouija board, using the backs of glasses to communicate. At first, it was harmless, a fun game. But day by day, things escalated. My mother joined them, drawn in by curiosity. Then something changed. Our cat began acting strangely, fixating on a picture of the Hindu god Shiva above our heater. According to superstition, such a picture should not be hung in a home. One night, our cat disappeared, vanished into thin air. When they finally noticed, they searched everywhere, only to find it trapped beneath the heater, barely breathing. As they frantically pulled it out, the board spelled out the words, "I'm going to burn them." We didn't understand what it meant at the time. But we would soon learn that this presence wasn't just playful. It was malicious, provoking the unseen. My father, a skeptic, decided to test the entity. He mocked it, challenged it. He wanted proof, and he got it. The glass, untouched by human hands, suddenly flew across the room and smashed against the wall. The board moved on its own, shifting, spelling words without anyone touching it. Whatever was in that apartment, it was angry, and it wanted us to know it. The night I was trapped, I was barely 2 or 3 years old when the worst happened. One evening, my parents were working and my sisters were in Jessie's apartment downstairs. I was alone, napping in my crib, when the baby monitor crackled to life with my screams. I wasn't just crying, I was wailing in terror. My sisters ran up immediately, but the door wouldn't open. It moved slightly as if someone, was holding it shut. They pushed, banged, screamed for me, but it wouldn't budge. For 10 agonizing minutes, they fought against an invisible force. Then, just as suddenly as it started, the resistance vanished. The door swung open, and I was alone, trembling, eyes wide with fear. No one was there, but I knew something had been. The sleepwalker's warning. One night, Jesse's boyfriend, who had a history of sleepwalking, rose from his bed. But this time he didn't just wander. He moved with purpose. Jessie woke up and followed him, feeling dread coil in her stomach. He walked up the stairs, to the attic door, the locked door. And yet, the key was already in the lock, waiting. He turned it, stepping into the darkness. Then, without warning, he ran back down, returning to bed as if nothing happened. The next morning, he told us what he had seen. In his dream, a woman, her face obscured, had called him. She asked him to follow. She had something to show him. But what? And why him? The unanswered questions. The sounds continued. Guests who stayed with us heard the same noises. The neighbors never stopped complaining. Something, or someone, was still in that attic. Watching, waiting. And as for me, I was terrified. I was so young, but even then, I understood. I knew I wasn't alone at night. Looking back, I had a strange habit. I would deliberately take off my diaper and wet the bed. I was too young to put it into words, but I knew. If I wet the bed, my mother would have to wake up. She would have to come to me. Because sleeping alone in that room with that presence was too much to bear. The haunting never ended. We only lived there for 3 years. but those years left scars. The apartment still stands near the Kaufland at Dianaplatz in Nuremberg. I often wonder if the new tenants hear the same things. If the woman still lingers. If the children she abandoned ever found peace. I may never know. But I do know one thing. Some places hold on to their ghosts. And some ghosts never let go.